In the future, are we going to be able to instantly learn Kung Fu, breathe underwater, or even control the very makeup of all matter in the universe and become like unto a god? Maybe. Hey guys, got another ponder for you in this series for theories on the future of humanity. And this one is all about nanotechnology and the crazy promises and hopes this not so theoretical technology might actually give us. Believe it or not, but we're already working on and being successful with technology on the nano scale. But before we get into all that, we might need a better understanding of what nanotechnology is and just how small these little robots are. In the International System of Units, the prefix nano means 1 billionth. Therefore, 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. To give it some context, a sheet of paper is about 100,000 nanometers thick. So we're talking about the tiny little robots that are practically boundless where they can go and what they can do. Now they're so small their functionality must remain extremely simple in its mechanics, but if you have enough of them performing varying functions, well, you got a sack full of possibilities there, Buster. So what is possible with nanobots? Now this is what we're gonna do here, guys. I'm gonna leave a scale, a meter of plausibility in the corner, just right there. It's gonna do us the favor of measuring what's actually in the realm of plausibility with nanotechnology. One side will be in the plausible, reasonable, and downright possible range. Then far, far on the right side is the wow, we're in sci-fi cliche, even L. Ron Hubbard would be blushing range. Now let's be honest, the wild speculations is why we're here. That's what TheoryInk is all about, and trust me, it's gonna get weird. Nanotechnology has a lot of promise. Already, scientists are working on nanomaterials and microprocessors made from carbon nanotubes, showing real movement toward technologies that will give us clean water to reversing the effects of aging. And it's in healthcare that scientists are already blowing our feeble little minds. Take, for example, researchers of the Micro, Nano, and Molecular Systems Lab at the Max Planck Institute that have developed propeller-shaped nanorobots that for the first time ever are able to drill through the dense tissue in your eyeball. They use a non-stick coating so as to not get stuck in your eye and travel cleanly and easily through the jelly-like substance of your eye mass. This is in hopes to deliver a very targeted drug, which in practicality could be used to treat cancer and other diseases. Okay, so the nanobots are so small you won't actually feel them in your eye, so don't worry about that. But why is this such a big deal? Well, scientists had a really hard time having nanobots travel through thick tissue to be effective in any task in which a nanobot can help medically. Well, guess what? Looks like they can now, and they're traveling through your eyeballs. So that's where nanotechnology is largely making progress today, mostly in health and mostly in delivering targeted solutions. But as we progress in health and gain more control over our own biological systems, you can imagine where we go from here. That's right, transhumanism. So, in theory, if we can target very tiny things in abundance, you can imagine what kind of control we might have over our own bodies. How about the ability to breathe underwater? Okay, maybe not breathe underwater, but what if you could hold your breath longer than a whale? An actually reasonable probability, but mind you, still theoretical, is an engineering design called the respirocyte. It's an artificial red blood cell about a micron in diameter. This artificial machine would carry an internal pressure of 1,000 atmospheres of compressed oxygen and carbon dioxide and slowly release those gases into your bloodstream, leaving you to potentially hold your breath for over 4 hours underwater. Of course, this tiny machine cannot be constructed with today's technology, but if we're building nano factories to do all sorts of crazy things, you bet your sweet blubber we'll be making these little guys in Dawn's sweet Aquaman threads. How about getting our energy from the sun instead of relying on using our mouth to chew food like some dork animal? And no, I'm not talking about a whole new level of vegan like that of breatharianism. that, believes even eating plants is morally wrong and we should just directly receive our nutrition from the sun. Oh yeah, it's a real thing, and no, we're not going to talk about it. But what we're really talking about is a concept called kleptoplasty. In simple terms, kleptoplasty is a symbiotic phenomenon where an animal, like a sea slug, will eat something that derives energy from the sun through chlorophyll, like say an algae, and afterwards adopt the plastids and temporarily continue photosynthesizing. Crazy, right? Well, in theory, ya boys nanobots can do something similar and capture energy from the sun using photosynthesis to convert light into chemical energy. Need not fear, my pasty red-headed friends, for the sun shall no longer be thy enemy and bring a burn upon your pale skin, but instead be the god of your nourishment. All right, how about the ability to connect your brain to the internet and learn Kung Fu? Now, this one is interesting, not just because Mr. Reeves said, whoa, but because this could be a very real possibility. In fact, internet famed Elon Musk, you know him, has a new venture for just this. He calls it NEURALINK. So, how does it work? By having nanobots replace your neurons one by one. These artificial neurons would connect to the internet, process information faster, and ultimately make you smarter than Einstein with a simple app install. Now, before you freak out and poo-poo this idea screaming that Elon Musk needs to stay out of your brain, consider his argument for why he wants to do this. You know he's not a fan of AI, and he believes that we are facing a very real existential threat from the emerging general artificial intelligence that could possibly make humans irrelevant and eventually extinct. So his thinking is, well, we can't beat him, we should join him. Is he wrong? Maybe. Maybe not. But here's a question we might, take a second to ask before we merge our vulnerable wet mass of brain tissue with nanotechnology. Can it be hacked? Can our brain be hacked by some hopped up on Jolt Cola teenager in Russia? In short, yep. Nothing is truly unhackable, so we must consider this possibility. In fact, recently in the news, a war veteran who had been accused of murder claimed that the government injected nanobots into his brain and compelled him to target and kill a complete stranger. Supposedly, he was found sane. Now, I'm not saying it's true. Of course, it's probably not. But consider this. Someday, maybe very soon, we might actually start seeing a lot more headlines just like this one. Now, here's a daydream we've all had as little kids. To have the godlike ability to control the fundamental makeup of matter to form an infinite array of fundamental symbiotic forms only limited to the daydreams and imagination of our own construction. No? Was it just me? Foglets and programmable matter. Yes, this is a far out there theory, but dear Moses, I hope it comes to pass. It's called programmable matter, or foglets, and it is just as amazing as it sounds. With billions, if not trillions, of smart programmable molecular-sized pieces of matter at your command, you could, in theory, control the very fabric of matter itself. So it goes like this. If we can control bots just larger than molecules, what's to say you can't control enough of them, potentially billions, if not trillions, to essentially form whatever you want? Nanobots could potentially have the ability to form and reform into anything that the laws of physics allows. So imagine this, a puddle of putty, just unformed matter that when given the command, say through the internet-connected nanobot neurons in your brain from NEURALINK, it could form into things like furniture, vehicles, real-life models from a video game, even projecting an avatar of yourself strung upon the firmament of heavens to give witness of your glory above all mankind. Okay, maybe I have a god complex. I don't know, maybe. That one's pretty far-fetched. Maybe. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you tuning into this latest TheoryInk Ponder. To me, nanobots are a very reasonable way for our future to look badass. We haven't even talked about theoretical predictions that our civilization one day might be living in the nano scale, which might explain the Fermi paradox and the fact that aliens may be living among us, but just too small to see. Another ponder for another time. Also, I know I take forever to create these YouTube videos, but you know what? I've been on Instagram a lot more lately, and I'm almost every day throwing out a new ponder, and it's a great way for us to connect too. So again, guys, I appreciate it, and stay pondering.